Hello and welcome. My name is Racho, and today we're going to talk about the pressing issue of Dante. Does he need a nerf? Well, if this is the only first 4 minutes or so, whatever you watch of my video, let it be clear that no, he by no means needs a nerf. And I hope that this video will prove exactly that. But let's get into this issue in a bit more detail. So, whenever I get bored, every now and then, on a rare occasion, I decide to scroll through the Warframe Reddit. I was especially interested to see what people might be saying about Dante or anything else related to the update. And I saw someone say that they were surprised how many people were actually asking DE to nerf Dante. Now, this surprised me because I hadn't actually heard anyone say this up until this moment. And I had heard people say that they think Dante will get nerfed, but I haven't heard anyone directly asking for one. So I looked into it a bit more and I found out, in fact, that yes, people are asking for Dante to be nerfed. And this really, really, really surprised me. And I don't understand why people think that. Well, I can have a guess, but I think people are ultimately quite misinformed about the situations. So I'm going to go over some of the things that I think are the reasons why people believe that Dante should be nerfed, and why they are not any reason at all for him to be nerfed. The big one, I believe, that why I think people think he should be nerfed is his Overgaurd. And I would like to first bring your attention to these two augments. These two augments are the augments for both Frost's fourth and Styanax's fourth, both of which gives you Frost/Styanax Overgaurd, both of which will give your entire team Overgaurd, both of which have an Overgaurd cap of 15,000. If this sounds familiar, good, that's the point. Dante's Overgaurd gives it to the entire squad, and its Overgaurd cap is 15,000. For all three of these abilities, the Overgaurd cap does scale of ability strength, meaning that Frost and Styanax have the same Overgaurd capability as Dante, yet people are going on saying that Dante should be nerfed, and I believe one of the reasons for this is because there's been some crazy footages of people seeing Dante with 80,000, even higher Overgaurd. But he's not the only frame that can do that, because you put the exact same amount of power strength on Styanax or Frost, and you can get the exact same numbers. The difference, however, with Dante versus Styanax and Frost is that Dante will give you Overgaurd by simply casting his second, or casting his fourth after casting the second twice. Meaning you can see instant results from Dante's Overgaurd, where you can't get that with Frost or Styanax, as Frost and Styanax Overgaurd scales off the amount of enemies you hit with their respective fourths. Meaning you may have to cast their abilities a few times before you can see their Overgaurd climb really high. But that doesn't matter. As I'm showing you right now, you can see myself with my max amount of Overgaurd. This is my Overgaurd cap. The Overgaurd is gone very quickly. You will have your Overgaurd of 80,000 or even higher getting one tapped very early into Steel Path. Overgaurd actually isn't that tanky, and even if you have a ridiculous, or what you would think is a ridiculous amount of Overgaurd, like 80,000, you can get that one shot very early on. And the same happens with Styanax and Frost. So what's the difference with Dante? Well, Dante also has Overgaurd regen, which means that as long as you get kills, which does proc his Overgaurd regen, you're basically immortal. As by the time your Overgaurd gates runs out, you already have your Overgaurd back from your Overgaurd regen to gate it again. That's pretty powerful, and it is really cool that Dante can do that. But the way Styanax's Overgaurd works is every time he hits an enemy with his fourth ability, he gets Overgaurd. So Styanax can lose all of his Overgaurd and then simply just hit an enemy, and let's say he's already in the animations of his fourth ability, meaning his Overgaurd is gone, and by the time by the time his Overgaurd gate has worn off, he already has Overgaurd again back from his fourth ability before hitting it, again, basically making him immortal. Frost can also do this, but not as well as Styanax or Dante can. Because with Frost, you need to then go ahead and recast your fourth every time you lose it, meaning you have to pay a lot closer attention. But with Styanax and Dante, you just have to kill. Styanax, you just need to use your fourth. And with Styanax, that is how you kill. So you don't really need to focus on your Overgaurd at all, except for Dante, you have to make sure the buff doesn't run out. Styanax, you don't even need to do that. As long as you have the energy, you can just keep clicking forth over and over again and never, ever, ever have to worry about survivability, making Styanax's Overgaurd arguably better than Dante's. So why should Dante be nerfed but Styanax shouldn't? The second reason why I think people think that Dante should be nerfed is because of Tragedy and how powerful it is. And I hate to break this to you, but if you think Tragedy is so game-breakingly powerful, I would like to introduce you to a few Warframes. The first one is Octavia. You literally do nothing and she plays the game for you. If you think Dante is overpowered, what is your opinion of Octavia? Octavia is far, far more powerful than Dante could ever dream of being at what his current kit is. What about Saren? Saren can't just do nothing like Octavia, but she can blow up the entire map with just a few clicks, much, much better and much faster than Dante can. And I would like to pay close attention to Gauss. Gauss's passive will increase your shield regen rate, while also decreasing your shield reduction rate. If you decrease it enough with his passive, or by using Flash Reflection and other mods, you can basically get the exact same effect as Dante's Triumph perk, where he can just regenerate Overgaurd before the Overgaurd gate wears off. Because shields also have a gating mechanic, and the shield gating mechanic is actually longer than the Overgaurd gating mechanic if you're using something like Cat Shield, and it can be even longer if you mod for more shields. And Gauss can easily abuse that system with his passive. Gauss's first can also make him move really fast, and with an augment it can be grouping. Gauss's second gives him 100% damage reduction to all three of the IPSs, blast, heat, and cold. Meaning he is literally immune to 6 of the 7 damage types. And for the other, 6 of the 13 damage types. And for the other 7 damage types, again, you can easily abuse this passive to also make you immortal, just like you would with Dante's Triumph. Gauss's third ability can also nuke. And if you're not familiar with the way Gauss's third ability works, if you use the Cold Thermal Sunder, it will get rid of all the heat status effects on enemies, and then deal damage to enemies equal to what was the remaining damage over time that the heat status effects would have done. In other words, it works exactly the same as Tragedy. Yes, Cold Thermal Sunder works the same as Tragedy. The only difference is that it only works for heat status effects and not all status effects like Tragedy or Expedite Suffering does. Speaking of Expedite Suffering, you can do that, the exact same thing Tragedy does, on any Warframe with the Helmet ability Expedite Suffering. Except Expedite Suffering is in a comb and Tragedy is fully AoE. And finally, Gauss's fourth ability will give him casting speed, fire rate, reload speed, attack speed. Gauss can literally do everything. Oh, and his fourth ability will also make his third ability fully armor strip enemies. Gauss can do everything under the sun. Like, there isn't a thing Gauss can't do except go invisible. Dante isn't overpowered. There are many Warframes more powerful than Dante. Gauss, Saren, Octavia. You don't want to die? I wouldn't be using Dante if I didn't want to die. I'd be using Revenant. And funny thing about Revenant is Revenant can give his Mesmer Skin to any person in affinity range with the augment for his second ability. Mesmer Skin literally makes you unkillable. As long as you recast it, and don't forget to recast it, you will literally never die with Mesmer Skin. Yeah, you could say the same thing about Dante's Overgaurd, but Mesmer Skin's a lot easier to keep up, as if you don't get your kills with Dante, then your Overguard's gonna run out and you're gonna die. Yeah, you can recast Lightverse and then Triumph, or just spam Lightverse, but again, I already showed you how quickly Overgaurd can be just gotten rid of and either one-tapped. Mesmer Skin can't be one-tapped. In fact, with enough power strength, it can't even be 10-tapped. It's basically like you give yourself an additional 10 extra gates. Overgaurd gives you 1 additional gate. Mesmer Skin gives you way more than that. So imagine just how much more tanky some Revenant is compared to Dante. There are Warframes far more powerful than Dante. Dante is a really, really good Warframe, and I do think he is an S-tier Warframe. But amongst other S-tier Warframes like the ones I've mentioned, no, Dante by no means needs to be nerfed. In fact, any nerf that Dante would receive would be terrible for his kit and make him much noticeably worse. So, no, if you think Dante should be reworked and you're going, nerfed, and you're going around spreading that, stop. Because you might give DE some bad ideas, and they may actually do that. And that would be a terrible thing to do, because the last thing Dante needs is a nerf. There are Warframes much, much, much more powerful than Dante. And Dante being a nerf would be an injustice to Dante, especially while Warframes like Saren and Octavia can exist and freely without being nerfed. Hell, Saren literally got buffed in the Whispers in the Wall update, and she's even more powerful. She was more powerful before Whispers in the Wall than Dante is now, and now she's even more powerful, and she ain't gonna get nerfed anytime soon. So why on earth should Dante? Anyway, thank you for listening to this short little video of mine. If you enjoyed it and if you agree with it, please like and share it to anyone that you know that's going around saying Dante should be nerfed, and hopefully this video will change their mind, because he really, really doesn't. And if you like this video, maybe go check out some of my other videos. Maybe check out my Dante video. The Dante video build I have in my Dante video has been a bit updated, so I might release a short posting my new updated Dante video build, but regardless, all the information you will need about Dante will be found in that video. And if you want to check out some of my other videos, I have some pretty cool stuff, so do that. Until next time, bye bye!